Welcome to the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Hear from the best martial artists and combat sports athletes from around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Today, I'm joined by the current #1 ranked lightweight in the Bellator Mixed Martial Arts Association and the former world champion, Brent Primus. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, man.
I really appreciate it. So I want you to take me back to the very beginning, if that's okay. Where did your martial arts journey begin?
Man, like I had like kind of not like a troubled childhood, but like, my dad was in prison my whole life. And, my mom worked crazy 2 jobs trying to support. And she we had an awesome childhood because my mom's kick ass, I couldn't ask for a better mom. But then I got kicked out of my house when I was super young from my stepdad. And, I got a house when I was like 14 years old, and I had a house, and I was like, man, got into like selling a bunch of weed. I was selling a bunch of weed, and I was getting in fist fights like every weekend, going to college parties, and man, I was getting street fights every weekend, and one of my buddies was like, man, if you're gonna be doing this, you might as well make some money. And he tried talking to me into doing jiu-jitsu and going to the gym for a long time, but I just never did. I think deep down I was like, just didn't want to get beat up by people. I don't know. And then finally he's like, man, screw this. I'm going to sign you up for a fight. And he signed me up for a cage fight, and I never trained. And I was like 2 weeks out of the cage fight. And I was like, man, I'm going to walk into this jiu-jitsu gym and just see what it's all about. And I thought I was going to go in there and kind of just beat every dip, because I'm just athletic, and I've been kind of scrapping for a long time. And I went in there and got my butt kicked by everybody, blue belts and everything, just throwing their legs over my head and arm barring me. And I literally just was like, man, there's like a bunch of technique behind this, man. So I fell in love with it and started training like crazy all the time, every day. And just fell in love with it, man, and caught on to it pretty fast.
Did it give you that kind of pathway to follow then? Is it like straight away, the love for it kind of kept you on the straight and narrow?
Yeah, man, it took a little while, but like after, I think I was like a blue belt, I was getting in fights like all the time. And I got a kind of reputation where people just knew that I'd fight, and they'd be like, oh, this guy's tough, man, you guys should fight. And it just happened all the time, man. Like, it was crazy. And then like once I started doing jiu-jitsu and like, man, started bowing and like learning the respect of martial arts and jiu-jitsu, and I stopped fighting, and I just started training my butt off. And I was literally training all day long, and I sometimes want to get home until like 10 o'clock at night. And even when I did go out, I just think the drive for fighting just went away, because I already knew what I could do. I was fighting all day long. And I think that when people go out to the bars or parties, whatever, and they drink alcohol, I think they fight because they don't know who they are. And they're like, kind of want to test themselves. And when you're training martial arts, you know who you are. You have tested yourself thousands of times. And as soon as I started training, I literally just stopped fighting. We had a couple instances, but literally I just put a rear naked choke, done deal, So, yeah, martial arts definitely saved me for sure. Definitely going down a crazy path, selling pounds of chronic and getting in fights all the time. And then as soon as I walked in the martial arts gym and put a gi on and tied it and started bowing, man, it changed everything for sure.
Yeah. It's keep all them small wins. It's like a roller coaster, is it? Jiu-jitsu. You're getting tapped out. Next thing you know, you've tapped someone out. Then you're getting tapped about 4 times by one guy. Next thing you know, it's that kind of the lessons that you learn from jiu-jitsu that transfer into life.
Oh, 100%, man. Like jiu-jitsu is like, oh man, it's hard to explain, but literally like you say, like the things that you go through jiu-jitsu like apply to life in so many levels, in so many ways, but kind of like what you're saying, like I remember when I first started jiu-jitsu, I walked in the gym and I was first started training like Evan Dunham and Ben Baxter and all these guys that were already like purple belts and brown belts at the time or something like that. And I remember I got my butt kicked every single day for like 3 months, and I did not do one thing good for one thing good. And I literally just got my ass kicked, and it was miserable. I remember waking out of bed like, what the hell, this sucks, and like, but I remember telling Evan and these guys, I was like, man, one day I'm going to sweep you. And then I swept him. And then one day I was like, man, one day, I'm going to submit you. Like, nah, hell no. And then one day, boom, I did. And like, that's kind of like the levels of jiu-jitsu, man. Like, and kind of like life too. If you don't just give up and you keep practicing and keep practicing, like you'll eventually be good at whatever you want to be good at if you really want to be.
Absolutely. Would you compete in jiu-jitsu at the time as well? Was you competing in gi and no gi?
100%, man. I jiu-jitsu is definitely my passion, and it always will be. I think like I'll be competing in jiu-jitsu when I'm like 80 years old, man. I feel like I'll always be on the mat with a gi on, you know, maybe not like MMA and kickboxing, but yeah, gi is definitely my passion. I love it. It's such a stress reliever, and man, I love it for sure.
Yeah. Did you do that fight on 2 weeks' notice then? So you said you're done. You went to the Jiu-Jitsu Academy 2 weeks before that cage fight. Did you do the cage fight in the end?
Yeah, I knocked the guy out pretty fast too. Like, well, at that time, like, man, I was going through a crazy time. I'd literally like go to parties and I was arm wrestling for money. You know, I'd like go to parties and I'd arm wrestle, and a lot of the arm wrestling competition turned into fights. And like, people just knew like, you know, that I could fight. And it was crazy, man. And I was scrapping all the time. And so like when I did my first MMA fight, I was like, I have gloves on. Are you kidding me? This is gonna be a piece of cake, man. Like I had no fear at all because I was used to fighting guys, you know, multiple guys at parties and stuff like that. So I remember my first cage fight, I was like, oh my God, I'm wearing gloves for this. This is like gonna be easy, you know? Like, so I think the street fights and all those battles kind of helped me with my confidence jumping into the cage for sure.
That's crazy because your opponent's probably shitting himself like in a fight, and then you're there. You're happy you got gloves on.
Yeah. I remember I was warming up in the back, and they're like, Brent, you ready? I was like, yeah. They're like, you ready? Let's go. I was like, blah, blah, and I ran out there just so hyped, so excited. And I think I knocked the guy out in like 10 seconds or less, you know? And it's crazy because like when I was an amateur, that was when I was like in trouble and I was knocking people out and I was getting in a lot of street fights. And you could kind of tell with my record because as an amateur, I had a lot of knockouts and a lot of TKOs. And then as soon as I went pro, I think I got my black belt or my brown belt as soon as I turned pro. And I just started submitting people, just really could choke, just doing the jiu-jitsu, you know, like get to people's back and choke them out. And that was the goal.
I mean, you got your black belt within, was it 6 years that you got your black belt in BJJ?
Yeah, it was something like that. I think I started in 2005 and then I got it in 2011. Yeah, so like 6 years or whatever. And yeah, man, I just like caught on jiu-jitsu so much. But not only that, I literally like, it was my life. When I wasn't training, I was at home studying it and watching videos and I just literally fell in love with it. And I got my blue belt in 3 weeks of training.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it was my coaches. It was my first gi tournament. It was at Pan Americans. Is the first gi tournament, and they're like, if you win this gi tournament, it's the biggest tournament right now in the world or whatever. You know, there's more people competing the Pan Ams and Worlds and all that crap. And so I was like, it was my first tournament. They're like, if you win, you'll get your blue belt. And they didn't think I was gonna win. And I had like a lot of matches. I think it was like 9 matches or whatever. I think the last 2 matches I was kind of crawling off the mat, you know, and I won and I got my blue belt. And then as soon as I got that blue belt and I just saw like, you know, the reward of hard work, I literally just fell in love with it. And I was like, man, the more I put into jiu-jitsu and the more technique, the more drills that I do, the better I'm going to get. And I could see that, you know, every day. And so I just like, man, it's cool. And I still love jiu-jitsu, man. It's awesome for sure.
When you got your blue belt, did all that stuff that was going on beforehand just completely go away? Then was the focus then purely on jiu-jitsu and becoming a fighter?
Yeah, it was literally, I mean, I think I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, man, I think I can be an MMA fighter someday, but I didn't think I could be professional and make it in a high level, you know? And then it just kind of evolves, you know, I started doing jiu-jitsu and then I was like, oh, you should do kickboxing classes a little bit here and there, and started doing kickboxing. And I always knew that I was a scrapper. I always knew that I was tougher than most people, you know? And I just had a lot of fire and craziness in me. And I let it out, you know, and I knew if I could learn technique and also cage that craziness in me that I hold into me, that I could be great, you know, yeah, man. But I'm still learning every single day. That's the cool thing about martial arts, man. Jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, like I'm learning stuff every single day. And so that's what I love about martial arts. I love about MMA and jiu-jitsu is like, it's not a stagnant, you know, hobby or martial art or whatever, you know, like you can always grow.
Absolutely. Do you think having that like inner dog inside you kind of helps you progress to that next level? Because again, you're very athletic, you're picking up the techniques, but having that kind of fighter's instinct. You know, like people say nowadays, I was having a discussion on my last podcast that fighters nowadays maybe more like athletes that get into fighting, whereas beforehand it might have been fighters, like the natural fighters that then had to become kind of athletic. And that kind of makes any sense.
Yeah, I can see that, man. Like I always see people like eating or drinking like pre-workout before they work out, or they're listening to music to get pumped up, man. Like I got such like craziness in me, and like from my childhood and getting kicked out and visiting my dad in Oregon State Penn and just like everything, man. I have so much just craziness in me that I don't need all that. I can just think about my past. I can think about, and I get like fire in my veins, and man, I can work out, and when I get tired, I can just think about things, you know, and I can just drive myself harder and farther than most people can do mentally. And I think you know, martial arts, working out, training, all that stuff is like they say, it's like 90% mental, man. If you're not mentally strong, you will break eventually. And I think that's my biggest key is like mentally, man. I can go into deep waters, and man, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid for sure.
Superb. Who were your early inspirations then? Who were the kind of like first fighters that you saw and you thought, like, oh, these are who you looked up to?
The guy that probably got me into jiu-jitsu, or like not into jiu-jitsu, but like I watched Rickson Gracie, the choke video, like right when I first started grappling and walked into the gym, you know. That was like, I watched that and I was like, oh man, this is amazing. You know, like I thought Rickson Gracie was amazing mentally and physically, and I obviously still do. He's the man, you know. But like that's definitely probably what got me motivated and got me really into jiu-jitsu, and is Rickson Gracie's choke video. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's
not seen it. Cool. Have you ever had a chance to train with him before? Have you ever met him and trained with him then?
I haven't got to actually train with him, but I used to go to Saulo Ribeiro's gym in San Diego and train there for like a month or 6 weeks before Worlds. And I was there for one of the camps. Man, there was like everybody there. Andrew Goval, Hodger Gracie. There's everybody there, you know. That was like back in the day when everybody did their Worlds camp there, you know, pretty much. And it was the last day of hard training, and I was there for like 6 weeks, and it was the last day of hard training, the last round. And I had a guy named Plata, and I did a sweep, and my leg got caught, and he was like a bigger guy, and my leg popped, and I was like, I was screaming, and Rickson Gracie runs over and grabs me, and he like puts me to the side, and he literally is like, Mr. Miyagi, and I was literally like, I was like, oh man, this is the coolest shit I ever had. Like Rickson Gracie right now, working on my leg, and like I literally just like forgot about the pain and all that stuff. I was like, this is hella cool. But obviously, as soon as he like, you know, stopped medicine and all this crap, he like walked up. I was like, oh dang, you know, like, and I like tore my I think it was like, I tore my MCL a little bit, and so I was out of that training, out of Worlds, which was a big bummer, man. But it was cool to have Rickson Gracie, medicine man,
looking after his healing powers.
Cool.
That's cool, man. So would you compete up to a black belt of the world still?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like I was doing like that SUG with Chael Sonnen's events, you know, and during the pandemic, you know, I was supposed to fight in July against Gyoti Yamauchi or whatever, and then it got canceled from the COVID. So I did a grappling match against Jake Shields, and that was pretty cool, man, because Jake Shields, I grew up watching him fight, and he's the man, you know. So I grappled against him, and so that was awesome. And then I was getting ready to do another fight in December, and then something fell through, and I got a last minute call like, do you want to go against Craig Jones? I was like, oh damn, Craig Jones. I was like, shit, I guess, you know. And then I went against Craig, and then I got a little injured in that competition, and then I'm back to it now, man. I'm finally healthy and healed up. So yeah.
Do you get the same buzz competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments like the Submission Undergrounds than you would competing in an MMA match?
Like anytime I compete, no matter what, like it's no joke, man. I take this shit serious. Like it's like no matter what it is, just a grappling match, MMA, you know, it's life or death for me. But I think I do take it a little bit too serious too. But at the same time, it's not as serious as a fight. You know, obviously, I don't think I'm gonna go out there and get my head blasted off or anything like that. But just the will to win for me. Like I turned everything into gosh damn world championships, you know, or whatever, even if it was like freaking horse outside or whatever, you know, I got to win. But it's definitely different from MMA, from grappling for sure.
Was it a cool experience competing against those guys like Jake Shields, Craig Jones? Because I mean, like Craig Jones, he's kind of like top of the chain at the minute, isn't he, in the BJJ world? So was that a cool experience for you?
Oh hell yeah, it was cool as hell, man. I was especially going with like Jake Shields. Yeah, man.
Yeah, the submission was nice.
Sure. Yeah, it was cool, man. Like, and then the Craig Jones thing, like, it sucked. Like, I popped my rib like 10 days out of our competition, and I was like, man, I told my coach or professor, I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna have to call out. I don't think I can compete. And he's like, no, man. He's like, we're just gonna work our top game, and we're just gonna really try to get to overtime, and we're just not gonna train for this, like, you know, a few days or whatever, or week. And so I went in there a little beat up, and then I came out way more beat up, man. Like I popped my collarbone out of the socket, and then I kept on going. I felt like a big pop, and so I was like, oh man. I moved my arm, and it moved. So I was like, okay, it's not broken, because I heard that if you can move your arm, it's not broken, which is false. And then so it popped, and I was like, oh. And then he put an anaconda choke on. And that's when I felt like a bunch of gravel, like pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? And then like it popped my collarbone out of the socket, and then it popped my sternum all the way through. It cracked my sternum all the way through, and it cracked my top rib, all in that like 3 minutes or 4 minutes we grappled. I was like, what the hell? I got hit by a car. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, gosh damn, I've only seen this in high impact car accidents. And I remember when he had it on me, my collarbone wasn't in socket, and he had the anaconda choke on me, and I started to like go to sleep. I was like, oh shit, this is getting tight. And so I knew that I had to go into his arm. And when I did that, it like pop, 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 and that's when it like cracked my sternum and everything. And then like what was crazy, like I knew something, I didn't have any strength in my arm. And as soon as I walked out of the cage, I could not lift my arm. I couldn't move it. I was like, oh man, something's up. But it was weird, man. Adrenaline is one hell of a drug, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what was the recovery like from that? Because the cracked sternum sounds horrendous. And like you said, the doctor said it's like a car crash victim's kind of injury. So how have you recovered? I mean, what is it now? We're in April. That was December. So that's quite a quick recovery.
Yeah, man. It sucked, dude. I couldn't put my clothes on for like a month. I couldn't lift up my arm. The collarbone is no joke, man. But I'm healed up now, you know, finally. But it took like a good 4 months for sure. It sucked. I was literally just doing leg kicks and running my butt off for like 4 months.
So you're still training throughout though, even though like improvising. Yeah,
the doctor told me to like take a little bit of time off, but I was running, you know, the next day. But I could definitely feel like just running on my feet on the ground. I could feel the impact, and like I had to get a sling that like made my arm so it like would not move an inch, you know. And but man, it's so hard for me to sit out even when I have an injury. I always like in my head, I'm thinking of my opponents, everybody's getting better and they're learning some secret move while I'm just like being a baby on the couch. So like I it's hard for me to sit out, you know, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that kind of like the warrior's kind of instinct that you've got, that you want to be training all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, my collarbones hurt, sweet, my legs are good to go, let's do this.
Yeah.
There's always something, man, to go.
Like Dad always says, I get hit in one eye, it's like you got another.
Yeah, exactly.
you got another you can see out of. So what was the first Bellator fight like for yourself? What was it like when you got that kind of initial message that, okay, Bellator looking at you, one of the biggest organizations in the world? What was that feeling of kind of achievement like for yourself?
Man, it was so cool because I got my black belt, I think right when I turned pro or close to, and I almost gave up fighting, and I was just going to focus on jiu-jitsu because I literally had like 10 professional contracts and people would back out of them. And I'd train my butt off and people would always back out. And I think they'd sign the contract. Oh, we'll fight Brent. And then they'd look me up and, you know, see my credentials. And then I just had everybody backing out. And I was literally at a point where I was like, man, I'm going to stop fighting and I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu. And then I drove up to Portland and started sparring up there. And one of the guys was like, man, I'm going to fly out one of my managers to come out here and look at you. And he flew out Jason House came out there, Iridium Sports Agency, and they watched me spar and he signed me. And then they had one of the guys from Bellator come out and watch me spar. and they signed me when I only had 2 fights as a pro. And I was like, man, it was like the coolest thing ever. You know, I was so happy. I was so stoked. I went and, you know, celebrated, and it was the coolest thing ever, man. That Bellator would take the chance of signing me when I was only had 2 fights or whatever. And so, but yeah, my first professional fight for Bellator was at in Portland, you know, home state, and I had a bunch of my friends and family go there, and I won first round rear naked choke, and it was awesome, and we partied hard after for sure.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I bet that's cool, man. And then within 6 fights, you're fighting for the title on Bellator? So it's like what?
Yeah, 6 fights,
eighth pro fight or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool.
That's correct. So how did you kind of feel with, like, you know, all the media obligations, all the kind of stuff that goes with it? How did you take it just in your stride?
Yeah, man, I loved it for sure. I loved it. The only thing that sucks is like when you're cutting weight and you're really hungry and you're grumpy and you're getting asked the same questions over and over and over, you know, that can kind of be a pain in the butt. But at the same time, like, man, this is awesome. Not that many people, you know, get experience this. And so I have people all the time, coaches, and be like, man, you got to enjoy all of this, everything, you know, even the stuff you don't like, man, you literally enjoy it, man. Cause there's gonna be some day where you're going to wish you could go back and do it. And so I try to enjoy everything, man. Not the starving and cutting weight part, but everything else, man, I do for sure.
How do you stay strong mentally when you're cutting weight? Because again, it's a horrible thing to go through.
Man, it is literally like, it's almost like a life and death. It's like, I literally tell my coach, and I don't let me die in there, please. You know, like, it is freaking miserable in there. Like, I cut a lot of weight, and then, but I literally have everything down to a science. I walk around like 190 to 200 pounds, and I can cut down to 155, no problem. I'm not gonna say no problem because it sucks. Freaking, it sucks. But I got it down, you know, like the biggest thing is just you got to enjoy being miserable. You know, like I don't eat nothing good for months. I eat literally salad and vegetables. And after sparring hard, I'll come and eat like a grilled chicken with nothing on it and just a bunch of asparagus and broccoli or something like that, you know, or like, that sucks. I hate it. I love to eat, you know, but it's all worth it, man. Like, there's nothing like dieting and training your butt off and sacrificing everything that's fun in life to win, you know. And once you get that hand raised, like, man, it was all worth it. That was awesome. I'll do it again. And I love it. And I'm addicted to winning, and I'll put my body through hell to win for sure.
Oh, man, crazy. Well, was that fight in Madison Square Garden, the title fight?
Yeah.
So the world, kind of like where you've come from to fighting like the biggest arena kind of known in the world. Like, yeah, man,
it's crazy, dude. Like, I came from like this little town, Eugene, Oregon, and come from like a little, not even an MMA gym, a little jiu-jitsu gym, you know, and like, from scrapping out and fighting 1-on-3 outside wasted outside of a bar or club to fight in Madison Square Garden. Like, it was the coolest thing ever, man. And not only that, like, I remember like fighting some of my amateur fights. I literally fought in like a little bar, in the cage was like, seriously, like 10 by 10. It was the teeniest little thing ever. Like, or fighting in like the fairgrounds and warming up in like a horse stall, like, and then going to Madison Square Gardens. It was cool, man. I loved it. It was sweet. I can't wait to fight. I hopefully I get a fight there someday again. And it is cool.
Superb. Then how did you deal with that kind of the setback in the rematch? How did you deal with that setback to now bounce back again?
Oh man, it sucked. You know, like, I don't know. I wanted that trilogy fight, that third fight with Chandler so gosh damn bad, man. Like, just that whole fight like sucked. Like, it sounds like excuses, but I don't give a shit. It's not excuses. Like, I got headbutted in sparring like 3 weeks before the Chandler fight in Hawaii, and I got a concussion, and I had to take like 7 days off, and it kind of messed me up. And I remember the Chandler fight, like, I actually don't remember it. Like, I just remember like after the fight, I was so in a fog, and I was like, don't remember much. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And my coach was like, yeah, you guys collided heads in the first round. You kind of dropped to me, and you got back up, and I literally, it was like the same exact spot where I got headbutted in that Chandler fight. And like, I don't remember really anything that Chandler fight. It was like a complete fog. I remember like, the only thing I remember really is like the fourth round, I was on my back, and my coach was like, go for a knee bar, go for his knee. And that was like the only thing I can remember out of the whole fight. It's like, it's crazy, man. Like concussions, your head getting hit, like it's freaking scary. But I just want that Chandler fight so gosh damn bad. But you never know, man. Like someday we're like 45 and we might get a call and to fight him or something. So
I mean, that's gonna piss him off though, because no one likes to draw. I mean, you're 1-1. You have to settle it really. If there's a will,
yeah, for sure. Honestly, man, I don't want to sound like a little cocky little turd or whatever, but like, man, I literally saw in his eyes, he did not want to stand up with me, and fucking, I don't know, my head was so rocked. I should have switched game plans. I should have like sprawled and brawled, and I was like, it sucks. Hopefully we get that fight again someday. Someday.
Then how did you feel then? You kind of fighting against Chandler to come into my hometown. You come to Birmingham, England, and you fought against one of my teammates actually. So me and Tim.
Oh really?
We train at the same jiu-jitsu academy, so we've got the same jiu-jitsu coach.
That's he's cool, a great. Dude, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Tim's a great guy. I got a lot of time for Tim. And so how did it feel then? Was that your first time fighting out of the US?
Yeah, it was. And it was as soon as they told me I was gonna fight out of the States or whatever, I was like, oh hell yeah, let's do it. That's an experience on its own, so I was definitely hyped to do it, man. And it was a fun experience and it was awesome, man. After the fight at the hotel, man, everybody likes to drink whiskey and drink, and so do I. And everybody got me super hammered, and it was fun. Even after when I fought in Ireland, man, people like buying me shots of whiskey left and right. I blacked out. Like it was cool, man. Everybody likes to party over there for sure.
Yeah,
man.
I remember I think it was a day before the fight against Tim. I went to my barber's and then the guys there know I do martial arts, and I've gone in and they've gone, Jake, you've just missed an MMA fighter. I was like, really, who was it? And they're like, a guy called Brent Primus. He's headlining. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I was like, literally, I think you maybe like walked out as I've gone in.
Yeah. I always get like a ritual. I always get like a straight shave the day before I fight or the day of my fight or whatever. And so that's funny, man. Yeah. They have some good barbershops over there.
Absolutely, man. Are you are you superstitious then? I know a lot of athletes have their own superstitions and rituals kind of before a fight, even like basketball players.
Yeah. I like to say I'm not, but I do have things that I feel like for sure. I feel like I am.
Yeah. Is that just kind of just a mental kind of preparation for it?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I always do stupid things. Like I don't know, man. Like I'll be like, man, if I can't take all these groceries after shopping, all these grocery bags in there at once, I might like lose my next fight or something like that. And I'll just like put this challenge in my head, just like I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So like, man, like every like 50 grocery bags, like I can't lose my next fight. Like I just put like stupid, silly things in my head like that all the time. I don't know why, but I'm crazy.
Everyone's got weird superstitions though. If something works for them once, that's it. They're going to carry on doing it.
I've had the same, what do you call it? I've had the same cup and jockstrap since my first amateur fight. Yeah. And so I always, hopefully I'll always fight with that damn thing. I was like kind of superstitious about that, so yeah, that's kind of weird. But hey, I wash it every time it's clean. So
yeah. I mean, my grandparents are from Ireland and they have some weird superstitions. It's something like, there's so many. It's crazy. Like if you see one magpie, it's for sorrow. If you see two, you have a good day. It's crazy, man. Yeah. And it's like,
for sure, yeah.
It plays in your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
So what keeps you motivated now? I mean, you've become a world champion. You hit the pinnacle. What keeps you motivated now going ahead? Is it more wins?
I think a lot of things, knowing that I'm like 36, I really want to put a stamp on my career and I want to win, some belts and I want to make some money. And that's definitely one thing, I want to do that, but also I have kids now, I have a family. I want to show my kid that, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I want to put money in the bank for him, for college and all that stuff, so I definitely, I want to do all that, but not only that, just, man, I literally hate to lose and I love to win more than gosh damn anything. And I will run all the way around the United States if I have to. It's going to help me get that belt, And so I think all those three things, man, help me train and train like a savage.
And is it would you want your son to continue in martial arts as well? Would you kind of push him forwards into doing it? To know in the States, again, like wrestling's massive.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to push him. I'll push him until a certain age, I think. Once he's like 13 or something like that, I'll give him his choice if he wants to do it or not. But he's definitely going to know arm bars, triangles, all that stuff. He's going to know how to defend himself. And I'm going to get him into jiu-jitsu class in like 6 months or whatever. I think he gets to start when he's 4 years old. And I've already tried to like teach him arm bars and all this stuff. He thinks he knows everything. And it's so frustrating. Like, no, you got to do this. Put your arm here. And he's like, oh, I know. I'm like, okay. So I think once he's in like jiu-jitsu class and sees like a bunch of other little kids doing it, and he'll follow along and everything like that. But he thinks he knows everything right now. And it's frustrating.
you just wait till he's old and he's catching you.
That will never happen. That will never happen. That's one thing, man. Like, it's so cool having the kids. Like, I will beat the living crap out of him and all his friends in high school, basketball, any sport they want, dude. They can pick it, and I will smoke them. Or if they want to wrestle, man, like 10-on-1, I'll take it on him and all of his buddies, man. It's gonna be fun.
Let them learn the hard way. Win or learn.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think people have to kind of lose to learn, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like they love giving out participation medals out over here, and it's like you want to win. I don't want to get a medal for taking part. That's my personal experience, and it's a bit like a kick in the teeth, isn't it? Really.
For sure, man. I feel like the more times you lose on the mats, the less times you're gonna lose in the cage or whatever, So, like I do like Shark Tanks, and I put myself where I have like 5 guys on the wall waiting, and they come on me every minute, and I literally put myself in the worst positions that possible: mount, my back, a triple threat, starting to rear naked or whatever, and I literally put myself in the crappiest positions possible because the more times that I can get out of those, or the more times I get comfortable, and the more times I'm in those positions, the less that it's going to happen, or the less times I'm going to be put it in the cage or whatever, So I believe in that, man. The more times you get beat up, the less times you're in training, the less times it's going to happen in real life or whatever. So, and I see so many people that are like, don't like to train hard. They don't want to get mounted, or they don't want to like, they don't want to dig deep, and so they don't, and it shows like when they compete and when they fight, So you got to be willing to go to those extra rounds and crap.
There's always a saying as well: you don't want to be a big fish in a small pond.
Sure.
So you always, like, one of the things my dad's always preached to me: don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. You always want even like football's big over here, for example, and you always want to kind of like play with older age groups, kind of learn from them. When you play against your own age group, you're better than kind of thing. So
Sure.
And again, you get all the small victories that you get from jiu-jitsu, and all the kind of losses that you get in it transfer into life as well. Yeah,
heck yeah, man. Like, just losing and getting back up and getting submitted. Like, man, I remember like, rolling with, as a blue belt, rolling with like brown belts, just in a 5-minute round, just getting choked and getting arm barred left and right over and over. And, like, a lot of guys can't handle that, have too much ego to get submitted over and over and getting beat up, and like, but I think a real competitor or somebody, a real drive is like, okay, next time, next time, there's going to be a time, and then it happens, as long as you don't give up. I think the biggest thing in life and in martial arts is just consistency, like don't giving up, just always going, just being consistent with training and no matter what, it, for sure, so I can't wait to teach that to my kids, and just the road and the life of jiu-jitsu, man. Like you said, it transfers over to life so much, and I'm so thankful for it.
Absolutely. Like I said, you could be getting mounted. You're in a bad position. You can reverse it. So get a choke yourself. You could, do you know what I mean? From the bad position, you can get into a good position. And
man, never give up, man. Never give up. You never know what could happen.
Do you feel comfortable on your back then in the MMA world? Because I know you've had some great submissions, and because you always seem really comfortable off your back in MMA.
I feel like I can submit anybody, any 155er off my back, and that's what sucks, man. With that Chandler fight in Hawaii, like I was literally grappling with world-class black belts and really good wrestlers, and I was submitting them off my back all the time, and I was so confident off my back. And my game plan for that Chandler fight in Hawaii was, I'm gonna stand up with him, and I'm gonna, hurt him or just make him shoot it on me, because I don't think he's going to be able to hang with my stand up. And that's exactly what happened, man. He didn't want to stand up with me. He was just shooting in on me. And I just felt like in my mind, I was like, man, I'm going to submit him. It's just a matter of time. Just be patient, Brent. Just be patient. And when I should have switched my game plan to sweep or just stand up, just put your feet on his hips, stand up and knock this dude out, But man, the mind is crazy once it gets rocked. And I was just so in a cloud. I remember like standing up then too, and usually I'm like setting things up. Like I'm going to throw this jab, and then I'm gonna throw a fake, I'm gonna throw this kick. Like I just wasn't thinking ahead at all, it was like I was in the moment, like why am I thinking, but yeah, damn, I want that damn fight again.
And then do you kind of find that if you do fight a lot of instincts, is like you have a game plan, but then is it a lot of it's instinctive?
For sure, just like in that Chandler, the fight with Hawaii or whatever in Chandler in Hawaii, I watched like a couple rounds of it, and I do not remember one damn thing. Yeah. I was like, it's crazy, like being rocked and then just doing things, like I literally was out of it. I don't know what the hell was going on. I remember going back to the hotel room and just not remember anything in the fight. I was like, what the hell happened, man? Like it was so crazy. And yeah, man, like yeah, it's crazy. Fighting is nuts, man.
Yeah.
Damn brain.
Going forward for yourself then, what's the plan? Because again, congratulations, you signed that new 6-fight deal with Bellator. And again, so what is the plan for you going forwards?
Yeah, man, I signed an awesome contract with Bellator. Thank you to them. Like thank you to Scott Coker and Mike Hogan for giving me this opportunity, man. I can finally have an opportunity to put money in the bank and everything. So the plan is I got one more fight, and then I'm fighting for the title, and then I'm going to hold that damn belt for a long time. That's the goal. Or you never know, man, something could happen and I could fight for the title next, I don't know, but it's coming soon. That's for sure. Yeah. And I'm fighting at first, man, they were wanting me to fight some guy that I'd never even heard of, some Russian dude who's never fought in Bellator, and they were trying to get me to fight this guy. And I was like, man, just not happy with it, because I've never heard of the guy. And I was really wanting to fight a top 5 or top 10 guy, or I was really wanting to fight Patricio. But so now I'm not fighting the Russian guy, and they said I'm fighting a top 10 guy soon. So
soon. They're not giving you a name yet. They've just said a top 10 guy.
Yeah, not a name yet, but they said a top 10 guy, and I should know soon. So
if it's not Pitbull, who would you like?
Damn, that's a good question, man. If it's not Pitbull, I want Patricio.
Yeah.
But anybody in the top 10, preferably the top 5, man.
Yeah, man, you're number 1 ranked. So you want to fight top 5.
Yeah, I want top 5.
Even number 1 ranked, you should be fighting the champ.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you're number 1 ranked,
9 or number 10,
yeah.
Screw those guys, man. I want to fight. Like I said, I want to fight Patricio. That's what I want. And I 100% think that I will beat him, man. Like I'm so confident that fight. I know he's a badass and he's really good, and I respect him, and he's the man. But when we get in that cage, I will be the man. I know I can beat that guy, and I think it'd be cool to beat him, especially since he beat Chandler. I think it'd kind of just kind of go good or whatever. So, but yeah, man, I definitely want to fight for the belt, or gosh damn, at least number 2 or 3, next or whatever. So we'll see.
That'd make a statement, though, wouldn't it? Beating a number 2 or 3, that'd make the statement. I mean, for sure. You're without doubt the best grappler submission artist in that division, if not in the organization. But do you think people kind of underestimate your striking ability as well?
Oh, 100%.
Because
sure.
Yeah.
100%, man. Like I really don't even feel like I've shown like a fraction of my stand-up what I can do. Like I haven't like let loose. I haven't let loose yet. And man, when I'm sparring guys in the gym and man, I haven't shown anything on my feet yet, and I can't wait to show it. And I think this next, I signed a 6-fight contract, and man, I'm going to show it. I'm going to be knocking dudes out, body shots and spinning techniques. And man, I'm confident in my stand-up for sure.
Superb. I mean, I'd love to see it. Like, again, you back in action as soon as possible, really. Do you feel like your body's ready to go as soon as they give you kind of a call, say, okay, this is the date, your camp starts. Is your body feeling good enough to go straight away?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously there's little dings here and there or whatever, but yeah, man, I feel ready, man. I want to just go and spar hard as hell right now. I want to get ready, man. I always got to like cool down and pace myself, man, because it's hard. Or my coaches always try to, I guess, because I'm always trying to go 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm ready for that damn contract, and I want to go in there and fight, make some money, and get that belt back.
Super. It's amazing because I can see how excited you are now as well. Just even talking about getting back in there, man. It's been a long time for you, hasn't it? Really. I know you've competed in the Submission Undergrounds, but it's been since that Dublin fight.
Way too long, man. Way too long. Gosh, it's gonna be awesome, man. And hopefully they'll have fans in the crowd, you know, when I fight next. And, I've trained with a bunch of my training partners that fight in the UFC and Bellator, and they're like, man, it is so crazy going out there and fighting in almost dead silence or whatever, you know. Like at the same time, I was like, man, I feel like I have my best sparring in sessions and doing the coolest shit ever when I'm sparring in the gym, you know, like when it's silent, there's not a crowd there. So I was like, man, I wonder if I'll just be relaxed and just go in there and like do like I do in the gym, you know. But at the same time, there's times when like I'm nervous and I'm like, Brent, you ready? I'm like going, I'm waiting for them to call me out. And then I'm walking out, and I walk out and just like, you know, thousands of people, and just like the energy is crazy. You know, I'm like, oh my God, man, this is insane. Like, and you get like adrenaline fire in your veins.
Takes
like,
over your body.
Yeah. So I think, you know, I think it can go both ways, but I think it's gonna be cool to have my fans and my family, or the fans and family in the crowd for sure.
Yeah, mate. What was it like fighting Dublin? Because I know the fans love it. I'm not sure who were there many Irish fighters on that card. Who was the Irish guys on that card? Yeah,
there were a few, you know, but I know it would have been gosh damn nuts if I was supposed to fight Peter Queally, you know.
Yeah.
And he got injured, and man, like everybody knew who Peter Queally was in Ireland. Yeah. I could not believe it, man. I'd get into a taxi cab and you're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm fighting Bellator. Like, oh yeah, cool. And who are you fighting? And I was like, oh, I was supposed to fight Peter Queally. And like, oh, fuck you if you were gonna fight him. And I was like, what? Like, everybody loves that guy. Everybody loves that guy. So when I fought Chris, they switched it because Peter got injured, and I fought Chris Bungard. And it was way different, you know, because he was from Scotland, and everyone told me, like, man, you're lucky you're not fighting an Irish guy here, man. You'd be having it or whatever. But the Irish fans are definitely nuts, man. I even when I went to the bars everywhere, like they were hyper, man, and ready for sure.
I've seen like the walkouts when they're walking out, the Irish fighters in Dublin. Like the scenes are unbelievable. Yeah, it's cool, man. They pop back, the guys.
Yeah, I always saw Peter, or seen a couple of his videos. He walks out to like Zombie, by the Cranberries or whatever, and like the whole crowd sings it and goes crazy, you know. And so I was kind of wanting that, you know, I think that would have been kind of cool, but it was cool, man. It was fun. Like I said, man, in Ireland, I mean, there's so many people from like Welsh and so many people from all over, you know, around there. And it was so hard to understand everybody's accents,
the accents
and everything. And so they were like, oh, you had one? I was like, yeah. And just wow. God, man, people were buying me drinks left and right. And like, I literally, I blacked out, and I was hungry to hell and hungover the next day.
The Guinness is good as well.
Yeah.
If you could pick anywhere in the world to fight, where would you fight?
That's a good question. I heard that there was like rumors of Bellator and Scott Coker fighting in Rome in like the Coliseum or whatever. And I think that would be absolutely freaking amazing, man. So I'm gonna have to go with that for sure. I think if I don't know if it's still in the works, but they said they're gonna try to do it. But definitely, man, I will do whatever I gotta do. Like they can take a part of my purse or whatever. Like I would love to fight there. I think it'd be cool.
That'd be like modern day gladiators, man.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, and who would the dream fight be? Anyone, legend, past, present, any organization. Who would your dream fight have been?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Man, there's like a lot of guys I can think of really, but like one of the guys that I loved back in the day, and I thought he was the man, was BJ Penn in his prime. You know, I think it would have been really cool to fight BJ Penn in his prime, just because like his boxing was really good and his jiu-jitsu was, you know, was awesome. So I think it'd been cool, but to fight BJ back in the day, that would have been awesome. Or I think it'd been cool to fight Gomi back in Pride days when he was the man knocking everybody out in Pride. But yeah, I'd have to say, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
There's a lot in there. There's a lot to pick from. There's a lot to pick from. I mean, that'd be BJ Penn versus you would be an insane match, especially the level of grappling.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome, man. And I've met him a couple times, and he's a cool ass dude for sure. But I think it'd been cool to just put our techniques together and scrap. But right now, definitely the guy that my dream fight is Chandler trilogy fight someday, man. I want that, and I'm not gonna give up on it.
Yeah. If there's a will, there's a way, man. Again, I'm sure he'd want the same as I. Kind of, you gotta settle the score.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I finished my podcast on this one final question. If you had to start again, what advice would you give to a 16-year-old Brent Primus?
Oh man, probably not spar so hard all the time. I probably that. Probably that's probably the thing that I'd say is probably just not spar. Like, man, there's times where we were sparring twice a day, trying to knock each other out, and we were knocking each other out twice a day, brawling, you know, and so probably that, you know, for sure, just not spar so hard and all the time, and but yeah, probably that for sure.
Have you changed the way you spar now? Is it kind of a lot more flowy kind of play sparring, or? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I grapple and wrestle hard as hell. I mean, 100% for sure, you know, but
just contact to.
Yeah. And I do spar twice a week, but you know, I do like small glove sparring with, you know, the puffies on, and we don't go 100, we go probably like, you know, 60% with those gloves on. And then I do once a week where we put the headgear on, the 16-ounce gloves on, and we blast each other, you know, but that's once a week compared to twice a day, you know? Yeah. So, but I do feel like you need to get some hard sparring in, you know, maybe not once a week, but like, you know, at least a couple times a month, just to get like that timing, that distance, that real life. Like it's hard to get that. Not only that, just the cardio, man. Like it is so hard to emulate the cardio of what you do in the cage. Like even doing conditioning, like, you know, I think one of the probably the closest things is like sprints and stuff like that, you know, but it's not the same.
Yeah, the best conditioning is mat time, isn't it? Putting yourself through it.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, it's getting that feel. You got to have the feel for it, haven't you? You kind of you can't go the whole time without getting hit. You got to get a feel for it. It's going to get in the zone to fight. Yeah,
there's nothing like it, man. When you get in that zone too, like it's amazing for sure.
Super. And where can people find yourself?
Yeah, Brent Primus 155 Instagram and all that stuff. And yeah, man, I'd like to thank my sponsors. Venom, man, hooked me up with the best fight gear out there. Don Lewis Plumbing. He's like a local, you know, family. He's pretty much family or whatever, and he's a plumber. He's the man that hooked me up, and they're always got my back. And Vital Minds, hemp. These guys are the amazing, man. I actually got like one of their new hemp pins right here. It's all derived from hemp, and it's like THC. There's like Delta 8 stuff, and it's awesome, man. I'm a big cannabis fan and believer. It's definitely helped me out and settles me down like after training and all that stuff. And definitely like to thank my management, Iridium agency, Jason House, and all you guys, man. Thanks for everything. And yeah, man, hopefully you'll see me in the Bellator cage really soon. I'm dying and to get in there.
Brent, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And again, I hope to see you raise that world title belt one more time.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah. Hopefully soon. And thanks for having me on. And yeah, man, hopefully we can do one after I win that belt next.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to hit the follow button, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on my latest episode. And for more martial arts content, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just follow @martialartswithjake.